Davis, 51 years of age now. Kept his place on tour in rather unusual circumstances. We'll come to that shortly. But there'll be a big cheer, you can guarantee, for his opponent.
39 ranking titles, 21 Triple Crown wins. The Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Here he comes. He beat Ken Doherty 5-1 yesterday in the held-over first-round match. And it's packed again. It was great atmosphere last night, and it'll be the same tonight because, again, Ding is on table 1. So Ding Junhui, Yuan Sijun is next door to this one. And there was a great atmosphere. They both won, of course, last night.
The semi-finals.
Just see the faces there, the excitement at the opportunity to see the 7-times world champion. But as I say, there's some big hitters out today. Neil Robertson and Mark Selby in particular have gone. This is the head-to-head, though, in our match. A lot of experience here between a 51-year-old and a 47-year-old. Mark Davis, 65th in the world. His best performance in a ranking event was runner-up in the English Open in 2018. He actually beat O'Sullivan in the semi-finals. The head-to-head between them, 6-3 to O'Sullivan. Ken Doherty definitely had chances yesterday, but just the odd error cost him, and O'Sullivan overall was pretty solid. You can hear Ding being introduced on table 1. So this is a second-round match. It's for a place in the last 32, and the winner will play Pang Zhengzhu, who in fact O'Sullivan played at the Crucible in round 1 last season. Day 2 of the Wuhan Open, the evening session about to get underway. Ronnie O'Sullivan against Mark Davis for a place in the last 32. O'Sullivan beat Ken Doherty 5-1 last night. Mark Davis played his match in the qualifying section back in the UK, beat Liam Graham, one of the new pros from the UK, 5-1. Yeah, Mark Davis, he lost 10-9 on the black in the final qualifying round of the World Championship to Joe Perry, and he'd actually missed the pink for victory. And everyone thought he'd been relegated from the tour because he dropped out of the top 64. But then just a few weeks later, because of the Chinese players suspended, a few more places were made available, and he was one of them. So he got an unexpected phone call, and what a bonus to continue his career, which began on the tour in 1991. And he's first in here, Neil.
Yes, I was thinking just about that match a few minutes ago, where he thought maybe his career was over. But anyway, here he is. He's still a decent player. You know, the head-to-heads of 6-3 suggest he has got a chance. I do remember that English Open match. Ronnie had been involved in a bit of controversy in the match before. With his win, there was a foul shot that he hadn't seen, and I don't know whether it sort of in any way impacted his feelings for the event in the next round. He was soundly beaten by Davis. Today's a very different ball game, though. He hits the pink on that shot.
Referee Zheng Weili, a place in the white. Yeah, just the postscript to the defeat to Joe Perry and everything that happened. It affected Joe Perry, I think, because he's good friends with Mark Davis, and obviously couldn't really celebrate, you know, a great win as he would have liked to have, out of respect. And then, of course, he got to the Crucible. His first-round match was very quickly disturbed by the protest, so that session was cancelled. He had to come back eventually on a Thursday morning, 9:30, and lost from 7-2 up. So it was kind of weird in the end how the fortunes of the two changed over.
Yeah, and Joe Perry has not played well this season. I mean, I still think he's a terrific player. The winner of the Welsh Open time before last, but this season's form for Joe has not been very good. Whether any of that is linked in with it, I'm not sure. And no doubt he'll be back playing well, because players of this vintage, Mark Davis and Joe Perry, known each other an awfully long time, and they know how to play the game still. It's a tough game for him here, and I was just looking through the draw, and obviously Ding's on the other table, but he's not in the other half of the draw. He's quite close to O'Sullivan in this, should he progress. Anyway, he's played a poor shot there.
Mark Davis unable to capitalise. Just to say, Judd Trump will play tomorrow. It's been confirmed he'll play 2 matches as long as he wins the first one. So he'll play Oliver Lyons in the morning session, and then if he wins that, he'll play Matt Selt in the evening session. Obviously, the same applies for Oliver Lyons. If he were to be successful, he'd have to play again at night.
Terrific opening red. The bunch slightly protected by that red directly above the black, just away from them. Hit that red into them. And that's kind of why he lost the cue ball. It's got a red out, but it was, for once, a fairly timid attempt to break them. Didn't like the way the bunch was shaped, I think. So a tough shot to keep it going here. I mean, he's a terrific rest player, but you don't see him use it much because he plays some shots left-handed. It was a very well-struck shot, that last one. When he looked uncomfortable on that shot, he was stretching and his backswing was not full length.
Mark Davis has also qualified for the International Championship, which is coming up in a few weeks. Beat Rod Lawler in qualifying. Won 2 matches at the English Open, 1 at the European Masters, so it's been a solid start so far to the campaign. Oh, but that will not please him, catching the knuckle. If he's got away with this, he's been lucky.
Yeah, quite delicate shot, but it's put him straight in. It's nothing more infuriating than hitting the jaws of the middle pocket and the cue ball comes towards the reds on a safety shot. But as I've always said, it's not really unlucky. It's a misjudgment to allow it to happen.
Eight. 9.
He's finished a little bit in between there, and he's not. I'd suspect he played further down the table on the left-hand red, which he's now covered behind the pink on. Cue ball running a little more out of control than you do usually expect with O'Sullivan. Sometimes he just seems to put his cue through the ball and a lot of them go in and he doesn't have that same precision, but he's got other ways of winning. It's a tough shot, this. Cueing down on the ball, but he made it look easy. That's a terrific shot. That is a very key shot which could easily allow him to take the reds in the middle of the table and gives him a great chance of winning the first frame.
Yeah, he looks very switched on again, as he did yesterday, as he did in Shanghai. I mean, he said prior to the season that China was going to be his focus, and he's won the first event here a few weeks ago, and he's already made a good start to the second one. Difference is, of course, this is a ranking tournament, so that will help if he does well in this event on the one-year ranking for the Players Series. He's still the official world number one. Luca Bracel, of course, withdrew from this tournament. Mark Allen could still overtake him, but he'd have to win the tournament to do that.
Yeah, potting this red now is going to take him into a substantial lead. Red above it as well. He will need one other red following the 2 in open play. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was on it perfectly. The shot before was not as good as you'd expect from him. I don't think he could see an awful lot of the red, maybe perhaps not enough for the natural potting angle. So is there a way back into the frame for Mark Davis? It's a tough table. So this would be the kind of start he needs, Mark Davis, to steal a frame. He's always been a very solid, reliable player. I know that's not always a compliment when you say someone's a solid player, but, you know, he doesn't usually miss something easy. It was a surprise he missed that ball. And under the pressure he was under against Joe Perry, it was a pink into the bottom left pocket from just above where that red is on the right cushion. And that's the reason he fell off the tour, and as Dave explained, he got back on through suspensions. But if he's going to win this frame, obviously the blue is a little awkward where it is, but not much else.
$85. $86.
Playing into an area where he's got a choice of 2 reds. That century, I mean, he could play the red down the cushion left-handed, but he decides not to.
So this black, then we can add Wuhan to the list of places Ronnie O'Sullivan's made a century break. In it goes. His 12th of the season. And as I say, it just underlines the fact that he's firmly on top now in this match. 101, swiftly made, brilliantly made as ever by Ronnie O'Sullivan. In complete control. Frame 4 is must win for Mark Davis to stand any chance of getting back into this. Mark Davis is 3-0 down to Ronnie O'Sullivan. I say the other table, that's the other main table. Of course, there's actually 5 in use at the moment in this session. Yeah, Stuart Bingham, as I mentioned earlier, 3-0. Looking good actually for 4-0, so he's playing some good stuff there against Daniel Wells. Still 1-0 to Martin O'Donnell against John Higgins. 2-1 to Sijia Wee over Jack Jones. Now, where's this red going to finish? It's looking good for Mark Davis. A chance.
Yeah, and I think a chance early in a frame is what he needs to make some inroads straight away here. So the bottom red, it seems, is available, but that's all. He pushed the other red back into the bunch.
8.
Oh dear. Well, he's just dropping it in, and it was off target by a long way. I think if you're just out, sometimes the ball will still go in off the jaw, but that was miles away. So it was in first, but it didn't really do anything there, sadly for Mark. Yes, no luck with that chance either, and quite again, it wasn't all that close to knocking that one in. He had to roll it from the side cushion, and as we were saying, you know, he doesn't need us telling him, but these are the sort of opportunities, half chances, that you've got to gobble up against O'Sullivan. Still, for his point of view, O'Sullivan's missed what looked to be a fairly easy one there. I think that red goes through the gap to the middle. That's a handy one. Yeah, that was unexpected, I think, when Mark got out of his chair.
8.
Well, it's sort of now or never, isn't it, this? It's another chance that he might not have got. I always think with these Chinese events, it's a long way to come. And this is Mark's first match because he did win a qualifier in England. It's a long way to come and sort of be whitewashed. You want to really produce the goods in some way, even if you don't win. Be proud of the performance you put in. Especially as, you know, go back a few months, he was looking for something else to do. Didn't think he'd be on tour.
Well, it can be like that. I mean, my playing days are long over, but I can remember playing in, certainly in Asia, China, I think, and losing to a wild card. And myself and it was Gary Wilkinson. We both lost to wild cards, and the journey home felt a long one. You know, before the tournament ever really started, it didn't happen. Anyway, he's pushed that black a little bit into a position where it's quite straight on it.
Yeah, it's a bit of pressure on this now. When you really, at this stage, I guess, want everything to be as simple as possible. Well, he's potted the black, but again, it's not a good cue ball. So more pressure on the next shot.
Yeah, buried under the side cushion. Never fun on these shots.
Yeah, nicely done. He just prepared himself for that shot, didn't he? He took a few moments, used his experience. You know, we talk about the class of 92, but Mark Davis actually is from the class of 91. That's the first year the game went open. So effectively anybody who could pay the entry fees could turn professional, and many hundreds did, but obviously most fell by the wayside. He's still going. So Anthony Hamilton early, he's another one. Fergal, actually. I know Fergal had to go through Q school, but he's another class of 91 member.
$31. 32. 39. 40.
It's very good that that red cropped up to the middle, because when I missed that ball red to the right corner, he just felt that he got away with it, but there was a little gap through, and this is the better contribution from Mark. But he's got to take it all the way now. Look at the table, still pretty dangerous from his point of view. A 55-point lead. Another red in the colour, and if he was to miss, I don't think the frame would in any way be safe.
$48.
Still 7 reds on, so 83 left on the table. Mark Davis has a good lead, but by no means one that will take him over the line yet. Now, does he knock in the blue, which would keep the break going and probably win in the frame, because it's a risk shot, and if he misses it, then I think O'Sullivan might clear up. Might be good to get a ball safe if that's possible, or if you're going to play the blue, he's going to have to get it. Well, that's a terrific shot. I mean, he's got a hold of the cue ball too much, in fact. He absolutely hit it like a dream.
53. 54.
So 75 on now, 6 reds left. Another red required after this blue. And that is absolutely a one for choice of red. So it's a good performance this for Mark Davis. He's been missing a few, including one at the start of this frame. But he's dragged it back and he's got a frame on the board now.
Yeah, he had to win this frame, didn't he, to stand any chance. But it's how he's won it, with a big break, which will please him. In his long career, he's seen every sort of match. He's been in front and lost. He's come from behind and won, all of that. So it's just about focusing on the next frame, and that's what he's done here. Sets it up at the interval, at least he's on the scoreboard. He kept Ronnie O'Sullivan for once in his chair. And he now has a chance to make a century. We've just seen 101 from O'Sullivan. He's actually made 2 maximum breaks in competition, both in the Championship League.
75.
They need a good one here to continue, though. Well, not to be, but the main thing is he made the frame-winning break. 75. So the players go to the interval with Ronnie O'Sullivan holding a 2-frame lead. Mark Davis, though, at least has some sort of foothold. O'Sullivan leading 3-1, so he will need 2 more when they return in 15 minutes' time.
56.
Mark Davis won the 4th frame to stay in touch. So O'Sullivan gets the match underway again. He made a break. Mark Davis came back, though, with a 75 in frame 4. So 3-1. O'Sullivan needs 2 more to reach the of this brand new world ranking event, the Wuhan Open, one of 3 ranking events in China this season. Of course, the big invitation event, the Shanghai Masters, has already been won by O'Sullivan.
Yes, O'Sullivan played okay in those first 4 frames. Mark Davis did well to pick up the last of them, but I don't think we've seen vintage O'Sullivan by any means. He just feels like he's doing enough, and he probably in his heart feels he should be able to win this match. But of course, we've seen these matches go the other way already today. You know, top players being knocked out. It can happen. And that's a fabulous pot. Now that is immediately the best shot he's hit all afternoon. It rocketed into the pocket and perfectly behind the blue. Well, the pink was protecting the bunch, as we saw evidence of there. Didn't quite get to see all of it, but it was in the way of the bunch being split, and of course none of the reds moved.
Oh, Mark. Well, could be a big error. Can't gift anyone chances, but certainly someone like O'Sullivan with his break-building prowess.
I don't think it was the most difficult of safety shots either, but he caught it so thin that he made more contact on the reds on the way back up the table there.
Just to remind you, the head-to-head was 6-3 to O'Sullivan coming in. The most high-profile meeting was the last one, which Davis won, that English Open semi-final 2018 in Crawley. But of course, in the 5 years since, O'Sullivan has continued to go from strength to strength. He's won 2 world titles in that time. Mark Davis very nearly was relegated. In fact, for about 3 weeks, he had been relegated, as we explained earlier, from the tour.
Once again, it's not worked out very well because he's kind of screwed in and out of the bunch, and he's the master of that shot, really, getting the bunch of reds open. But twice in this frame, from blue and black, it's failed. He's only mustered a 30-point lead. That's a nice recovery. Little cluster of half a dozen reds. I don't think any of them go. Possibly the bottom one. Of course, we'll know more having played this shot, but I think he's looking to move it out slightly, which he's done, but he may have to just brush into them again here if he can. It's the angle is slightly wide. Little soft screw into the bunch, bringing one into play, although he hopes that he stops short. I think the red, you feel, is potable to the left middle. And the lead builds all the time, and now there's other reds out of the 5 that remain in that centre of the table. Yeah, well, he's got choices here. That could be a dead plant, but interesting he's even bothering to look at it with the other red there. And I think in potting the other red, he'll remove the plant, and this way he stays on the black. So, yeah, for all the world, it looks like 4-1, doesn't it?
Yes, and it's not taken long at all, has it? And this is the danger. Bad safety from Mark Davis. He had the look of a man who thought he'd done the frame, and he was right. Well, he's not on the black here, so the red's covered the black. He could maybe cut the pink in. He still needs something in. A slight lifeline has appeared, unless he knocks this pink in. And it goes, so Davis does need a snooker. Otherwise it's 4-1. But he's got to get the chance to play for it, and if O'Sullivan pots this next red, then there's surely no way back. Well, he hasn't, so there is half a chance here. 1 snooker required. Be annoyed by that.
Yeah, he doesn't miss many of those left-handed shots, actually. You know, for someone who's using his wrong hand, it's not something that usually lets him down. Maybe a similar story to, I think it was frame 2, wasn't it, where Mark Davis carried on for a while, got some snookers, but not enough to end up clinching the frame. But he's almost obliged to carry on here. See if he can take it down to 1 red, perhaps. Whatever it is, it'll be high-value colours with the reds he does pot. Well, I think that'll do him. I'm not sure he'll be coming back to the table until the start of the next frame now, because he missed the pink by a way. Ronnie's in, frame over, and he's on the brink at 4-1 down is Mark Davis. Yes, it was fully expected that it was going to be a tough game for him, of course, but you have to play a lot better than he has done to compete strongly with the Rocket, I think.
I think it's similar to yesterday. Ken Doherty again had chances. He was very attacking, actually, Ken. You know, he didn't try and tie the game up, but he just didn't get enough of them, and was handing openings to O'Sullivan. And the same's happened today. Another 50-something he's playing as he switches hands.
He's checking the scores, but goodness, I'm sure Mark Davis doesn't want anything more to do with this frame, even if he misses now.
Yeah, he will play a younger man tomorrow if he wins. Pang Zhengzhu's in his 20s. He's waiting in the wings.
Yeah, and a good player, isn't he? But as you rightly said earlier, you know, at the World Championship, he played him, and while he acquitted himself well, he was soundly beaten.
He actually played well towards the end. Obviously, it was his debut, and he's playing day 1 against O'Sullivan, so he played quite well in the evening, but by then it was too late, really, to turn it round. But he won a few frames in the evening. Of course, it'd be a shorter match here, best of 9.
It's one of those 10-7s where his opponent played well, but he never really believed that it was going to end up in winning the match. But anyway, that was then, and of course Ronnie's not there yet, but it appears that he will get this match won at some point, on the balance of what we've seen anyway.
Yeah, someone this week will have to step up their game, clearly, to beat him. That's true anywhere, but certainly the focus he's got now playing in China, as we saw in Shanghai, even though he wasn't at his best all the time, he dug in and he produced those bursts of inspiration. 3 times he made back-to-back centuries in the tournament, which made a big difference in those matches. He's not happy, he's not nicely on the black. That's the perfectionist for you. But he's firmly in control of this match. 4-1, Ronnie O'Sullivan needs just 1 more frame to put himself into the last 32 of the Wuhan Open. So Mark Davis gets frame 6 underway. He's 4-1 down here to Ronnie O'Sullivan, who is firmly in control. I mean, the scoreline tells you that, but just the way this match has panned out, he looks a heavy favourite to make progress to the last 32 of the Wuhan Open. And as we've been saying, he does need ranking points. His end-of-season world ranking is actually 20th. Now, there's a lot of snooker to be played before then, but he does need some good runs in tournaments as he takes that one on. And part of it is to get in the Players' Series, 3 elite events, the World Grand Prix, the Players' Championship and the Tour Championship, because they in themselves are ranking tournaments. And last season, he only played in the first of them. You have to be first in the top 32 on the one-year list. You fancy you will be, but then it's top 16 and this season top 12 for the Tour. So you need to be doing well in tournaments across the season to get in them. Yeah,
and I think that O'Sullivan would probably, and I can't speak for him, but I get the feeling that events like this would be the ones he would fancy doing better in. You know, in China, where he's very well received, and he sort of likes these events. He looked a bit ill at ease at Brentwood, didn't he? I'm not saying anything out of turn there. I think against Zhang Anda he was not as comfortable as he might be. He was well beaten. So an event like this with a big prize, if he could go deep, then that would solve that problem in one, I think. This safety shot down the left side, you've got the problem of the red on the left cushion, which is very much in play on the way back down towards the bulkhead, and he knows it. Oh, he's hit it. There you see. Now that is the problem. That is just the width of a ball, and yet you know that if you hit that with the most natural of safety shots, it's almost unavoidable, really. It could have cost him his position in the tournament. I don't know if he's got an easy starting red, which might just have saved him here. Mark Davis, that is. No, he's got away with it, but he made a mistake for sure in that safety shot. Well, he obviously tried to get the cue ball deep into that left corner of the table. It's close to the pocket, obviously not in the pocket, because if it had stopped in the jaws, that the red in the far corner, the opposite far corner, would have not been potable, but from the D, clearly it is. It's an opportunity, and he's going to have to play some of the snooker of his life to win from here, 4-1 down. Have to do a Judd Trump against John Higgins in Brentwood the other day, I think. Whether he's quite up to that. Very few players could have sort of recreated what he did. Judd in that win. Anyway, he's got this opportunity, starting from scratch. See what he can achieve here. I think the red goes to the right corner, the one to the right of the pink. Well, I think he's on the red to the right middle, the one furthest up the table. Wouldn't have been his red of choice. Might have to come around the back of the black, though, to play on the black to the right corner. If that angle is on, I think it is. Red, as you can see, a little bit tightly grouped up. Well, misjudged by some margin in the end.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Trump and Higgins. That there always felt like the possibility of a recovery there, just because of Trump's abilities and also Higgins having lost a few from well in front. But if Ronnie O'Sullivan doesn't win this match, there'll have to be something very special happening in the next sort of hour, because he's firmly in control of it. He's getting enough chances. That's the thing. Even if he's not killing the frame off in one visit, he's getting more chances. So it'll have to be a dramatic turnaround. Firstly, in Mark Davis's performance, but also O'Sullivan will have to start making a lot of mistakes as well. But O'Sullivan as well, I don't think he's going to take liberties here.
He might be interested in the double, but if he plays it to the left middle, I think it would be with a view to not leaving anything easy. So I've got a feeling the double he might be playing here. Yeah, he's tried it, and very cleverly played, because as you can see, had that not gone in, the only red he could have possibly left was the red he was trying to pot.
So he's in with a chance to get this one.
Yes, he'll be looking to polish off this match soon, and he's going to take some beating now. Obviously, that's a statement which doesn't take a lot of working out, but he hasn't necessarily in ranking events looked like winning for a while. The tournament, I wouldn't say it's fallen apart around him, but a lot of the players who have got previous of beating him, your Neil Robertsons and your Mark Selby types, and Ding's in a lot of trouble as well near him in the draw. Things have opened up, I would say, if he needed them to open up.
Well, yeah, I mean, Neil Robertson was in his half. He's gone. Mark Williams was there, but of course he pulled out, so he can't play him. Ding looks like he's going to lose, so he's definitely a big favourite in that little section. He won a first ranking title in China back in 1999, so 24 years since his first success in this part of the world. That was the old China Open.
Real rare O'Sullivan error. He's overscrewed by it so far on the two reds to the same pocket as the black that he can't pop either of those. He's got to play the recovery shot now. He will be annoyed if he doesn't pop this, because a blemish in position is unusual for O'Sullivan. This is where he's good, though. He's recovered it there, and he can put the bad shot behind him now.
I reckon Pang Shengzhu will be keeping an eye on this and getting ready for the next round, knowing that he'll have to cut out the mistakes that we saw from Ken Doherty and we've seen from Mark Davis. He's actually not had a good season, Pang, but may well raise his game. It'll be an interesting match, I think, because he's playing in that one, assuming he wins here, someone from a different generation, not a player he's grown up with like the first two opponents, but someone coming through, making their way. He was in a ranking final last season, was Pang.
Yeah, that would be a really interesting match, and you're right, a good season. He's not really been something he's enjoyed, but he remains a very good prospect, I think. And perhaps, as you say, a player like that would appreciate a hard match, or a match where the pressure comes off. Anyway, O'Sullivan hasn't won this one just yet. Awkward cueing here. Not doing a great deal with the cue ball. So the lead is 11 points. Those 4 reds, they're not. I think the red directly below the pink will go. Yeah, there it is. He's got a clear shot at that red. And perhaps at one other as well. So he's got this one. Wow, I didn't really expect that, I've got to be honest. I don't think he did either. Mark Davis might have thought he'd played his last shot. Might have been considering the journey back to down in Hastings in the UK, where he lives.
Yeah, I mean, before now, you've seen players undoing their waistcoat and sort of putting their stuff, getting their stuff ready to go in that situation. He didn't do that, but the match looked over.
I've seen that quite a lot, Dave. Ooh, wow, he might be starting to unbutton it now. What I was going to say is that I've never seen anyone have to do it all up again, because the matches, how on earth did he miss that one though? Goodness me, that could easily be it now. Just got to get out for the black. He's overscrewed by an absolute mile. And that is something he is doing. He's overscrewing on shots. And what we should remember is when he lost in Brentwood, when was it? Thursday or Friday? He bit the tip off his cue. I think it was Thursday he lost, wasn't it? The day he had to play 2 matches. So he's got a new tip, is the point. He must have. And maybe it's quite responsive and these tables are lively. And he needed a bit more playing in than it's been getting.
Well, I'm sure Davis can't believe the match is still going as he looks at this plant, which he's going to have to make. You can see the reds a little away from each other. So he lives to fight another day.
Yeah, that's well judged.
In Brentwood, but lost Saturday. That defeat to Trump was hard to take. Had to travel immediately, and hasn't had much time obviously to acclimatise, and he's looking like going down to a heavy defeat there.
Well, this time, Miss Mark Davis turned to overscrew considerably. And all I can think of is that the table is playing really lively. The bed is responsive. The spin is really taking. He missed that by a mile. The shot before was the reason for it. So, yes, he's back in the frame. Sullivan might have the safety shot here if he wants to play it, taking the cue ball around the angles in behind green and brown. That's what he's tried. But he needs that cue ball to race. He's got the shot to an extent, but I mean, the red was never meant to go that far down the table. Superb. Very good. Very good indeed, that. This is a one cushion escape. It's quite difficult. The red's kind of exposed down in the middle of the table on his own there. Goodness, he's more than happy with that outcome. He's played it well, actually.
Well, Ding Junhui, meantime, on the other table is about to be beaten ill by Yuan Sijun, potting the balls to do that. So that's a big disappointment off the back of the quarter-final defeat to Lu Hongyu last weekend. Because he did win yesterday. As Mark Davis takes this on now, then he's going to leave it on. So this is O'Sullivan's chance to get this one. You may feel it should have been over already, but another chance has come along. And we can just show you the Ding table here, or we should say the Yuan Sijun table, because he's going to win 5-0. It's a great win for him. Emphatic win over China's greatest ever player. 5-0 to Yuan Sijun. He'll play Ashley Carty in the next round. So, just a check of the scores. It's brown and blue needed. You can see some of the fans already poised with their camera phones, ready for the end of the match. There was a bit of a scramble yesterday for pictures.
I think Ronnie's played okay. He'd probably give it a 6.5 out of 10, I would think, by his high standards. I think he's over-screwing shots. I think he's probably still getting the tip bedded in. He's had 2 matches with it. Mark Davis was never quite that man to beat him, I don't think.
No, he had chances, didn't he? But in the end, it's Ronnie O'Sullivan who records a second successive 5-1 victory. Beat Ken Doherty yesterday and Mark Davis today. 2 50-somethings dispatched here in Wuhan. You heard the cheer from the crowd. They'll be seeing him again in the next round when he takes on a 20-something Pang Junzhu for a place in the last 16. But the O'Sullivan fans here happy